who sang the song "It's Magic," and in that song it's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, it's magic." That's a great song. It's a very great sort of, I guess, early 70s kind of pop.
It's magic, you know.
Never believe it's not so. Alright, welcome back everybody to a new episode of the Roundtable podcast. I'm Chris Bartgall. Be sure to subscribe to my channel because I also review albums and do all kinds of other related music and vinyl record style videos on this channel. And today my co-hosts are Ben.
Hello.
And Matthew.
Oh, rock Me Amadeus.
Alright, so today we are going to be discussing, as you could probably tell by what Matthew just said, we're going to be discussing our favorite one-hit wonders. So, sometimes, obviously a one-hit wonder is a little hard to decide. We are all three of us going to be using sort of our own discretion in, what counts as a one-hit wonder or not. And today we're going to be going in the speaking order primarily of me to Ben to Matthew. Now, this video might be a little long, as we do have a lot to go through, but I hope you'll stay with us to the end, because we will have plenty of fun, I'm sure, moments throughout, and we'll have a lot of interesting songs to bring up, including some that you may or may not have heard of. Alright, I'm going to begin. A one-hit wonder, obviously, that we'll be discussing two-hit wonders, too, in this. I don't know if I explained that. One or two-hit wonders. I'm not necessarily doing one-album wonders, like Hootie and the Blowfish, although we could mention them theoretically. But so I'm going to start off with my favorite two-hit wonder, not really a one-hit wonder, but a two-hit wonder. And that is Charles White and the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band. Now, they're mostly known for their song Express Yourself, which was, of course, famously sampled. And you see it on like commercials and stuff all the time. It's a really good song, but I personally like the other hit better, Loveland. It's a very good song. I do think they had some other singles that maybe made onto the R&B charts. These are like the big hits from the big Billboard like full chart. But yeah, basically the fact is, Loveland, that's a great song. It's one of the great sort of R&B kind of soul sort of, one of my favorite in that style of kind of Motown-y sort of stuff. And I really love that song. I don't know why, but Ben will confirm that I listened to this song like quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Crystal does, I think, listen to Loveland pretty often.
It's an absolute banger. Like the singing
including on my YouTube account for some reason.
The singing on it is great. The lyrics are great. It's not like a hugely impressively like instrumentated piece, but it just kind of clicks together, sort of a little bit of sort of perfection in terms of it just. It's not like a band who you can listen to an album where like everything instrumentally is all this like flashy stuff, but it fits really, really well. It's a very good piece of songwriting. It's a very well sung song as well. I really like that. So yeah, I just want to say, Loveland and Express Yourself by Charles White and the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band. Great songs. Loveland is my favorite sort of more, I guess, favorite song by a lesser known artist, so I think that's a proper way to sort of start off the video. Alright, so, Ben, what song do you want to list off?
For my first song?
Yeah.
For my first song, I will go with, the song, it's Macarthur Park. Macarthur Park is melting in the dark
of a sweet green icing flowing down.
Someone left the cake out in the
rain. I don't think that I
Go to the sink with me, Christopher.
Okay, go back.
That's not right.
Oh, well, whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you could. You were out of sync with me.
No, you were out of sync with me.
I started it.
Yeah, but we were in sync at some point, and then you slowed down, whereas I kept singing kind of at a faster tempo.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. So Macarthur Park has had a lot of discussion about it.
It's sung by my man Dumbledore.
Yes, we're discussing specifically the Dumbledore version, and not the Donna Summer version.
Or
that's also an interesting
the Bagels Opera version. We're not discussing that either, the prog rock version.
Yes, this is the OG.
The absolute
Dumbledore version.
OG. I mean, the Donna Summer version isn't a one-hit wonder.
It's
obviously.
a kind of an interesting song. I've heard people say negative things about the instrumentation on it, which I guess is pretty generic, but like I enjoy it.
Also, the guy who wrote it's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's by Jimmy Webb, who some of you all might know for such classics as Wichita Lineman, or By the Time I Get to Phoenix, or most importantly, Up, Up and Away. Am I Beautiful? Yes, beautiful.
Balloon.
Yes, very, very important song, Battle.
A true Chad.
If you're from the 60s, I guess. If you listen to 60s music, it isn't like just rock. Anyway, so Macarthur Park is like often been commented on as very strange lyrics.
It's a bit
it has like some references to like trousers or like
the yellow cotton dress.
Yeah, and like cakes, cakes melting in the rain. It's like unusual and stuff, and it's very melodramatic.
It's also kind of a long song, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's about 7 minutes 20 seconds, 7 minutes 30 seconds long. But like it is an oddly personally autistic song in its weird dreamlike logic that in some ways like it is kind of incomprehensible, but like it has a weird dreamlike logic that has to do with this like guy's personal experiences, and compared to like some of his other songs, even like ones that are so good, this one is a lot less traditional. A lot of his songs have like traditional country or like traditional poppy sounding things. Traditional poppy meaning like pop back in the 60s, not like pop today. But this song has this, and musically it does sound like 60s pop. It's like, I don't know, but it has like horns and stuff in it.
Also, we forgot to mention that there's 2 Waylon Jennings versions of the song as well.
Which is also weird.
One of which has Graham Nash on it.
That's weird. But anyway, that's not actually just
he liked it well enough to, I guess, cover it twice.
Yeah, this song was intended originally for the association to sing. So if you know what the association sounds like, this song kind of sounds like the type of stuff they'd sing.
Yeah,
but they didn't, because they were like, what is this randomness?
Yeah, and without the vocal harmony, because it was just sung by Richard Harris, the actor.
Yeah.
And not the association together, unfortunately.
Yeah, but no, what was I gonna say? I think the song is ultimately good, I guess, despite its weirdness. But because of its weirdness, it has this weird, dreamlike logic to it that is
especially the fact that it's sung by Dumbledore.
Well, yeah, and that. But even to the song itself, with the music stripped out, just the lyrics, which is what people comment on. A lot of people are like, this is just random nonsense. And yeah, I'll agree it seems like random nonsense. It is actually a portrayal of, like, images of this guy's head. And most artists, well, they will work that into their work and stuff. In some ways, I do give credit to Jimmy Webb for just laying it all out. Instead of just having it, like, sprinkled in through, like, his work or whatever, all these imagery. He just throws it at you. Like, I recall the yellow cotton dress, and like a striped pair of pants, like all these references to just these weird things that were in his life and just kind of flow together. It has this, it's just a very, almost like a stream of consciousness to it, of, like, a sort full of, I hate to be this possible. I'm gonna do that. Like I haven't read the entirety of its, in Search of Lost Time, because it is like one of the longest novels either. But in Search of Lost Time, or À la recherche du temps perdu, there was like this theme of this discussion, like of a portrayal of like people like looking at things, like most famously Madeline, and then like thinking about lots of associated memories. And in some ways, this song is kind of like that. But basically, he's singing to this woman about, you know, I'm wondering why you broke up with me. But like, this is all this kind of associative memory, which is how humans actually walk, or at least how I walk. We're just like, I will remember random things.
Yeah, no, I do that all the time. I could still remember all kinds of weird things. Like, I remember what I was eating the first day I watched Iron Man on Blu-ray. We had pot pies for dinner.
See, that's just a random
I remember the smell.
I
remember the smell.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, you might have been looking and thinking, what's a random memory I have? But, like, in terms of just involuntary reflexive memory associated just random things, in some ways, I think the song captures it, even if it is not that. Obviously, a song is a performance. The song was written and performed. It is not inherently going to be completely stream of consciousness. But in some ways, I think the stream of consciousness is captured in it. In a way, it's not it's not like in Faulkner, but it is. It's not as chaotic, but is in some ways still captures that chaotic of reflexive memory.
And I do want to say, I do like the way it's sung. He sings it really melodramatically, like he really hams it up so much. It's always hilarious, and the fact that he literally sang this song and was one hit wonder, and then played Dumbledore. That's hilarious to me too.
Yeah, that's.
I still think of it as the Dumbledore song, like even ignoring, you know, any of what you could say of the controversy and whatever was surrounding Harry Potter these days. I still think of it to some degree as the song sung by Dumbledore, a very melodramatic Dumbledore.
He actually won Best Male Vocal Performance in that year.
Have Grammys, yeah.
Have Grammys for singing that.
Well, you know, they said Up, Up and Away was like the best song.
What, won? No way. Did he win or was he nominated? Let me know.
Anyways, I think it's time.
Maybe he was just nominated.
I think it's time we let Matthew list the song. Matthew, which song do you have now for this one?
All right, let's just jump right into it. The first song I'm picking is just a classic of my youth when I was a kid. It's called "I Believe in a Thing Called Love" by The Darkness. And it's just an amazing song. First off, it basically is like an ode to, like, you know, the hard rock and the glam metal of, you know, the 70s and 80s, like, you know, with Queen and Van Halen and all that. And it's honestly just one of the greatest love songs of all time. And, you know, it's, you know, and just how the vocal is just like, I believe in a thing called love, just a little bit of the rhythm of the heart. And just how the falsetto that he did in The Darkness is just beautiful. So go listen to I Believe in a Thing Called Love. And honestly, that album, Permission to Land by The Darkness, is a very good album.
Damn, the music video for that is interesting.
It's amazing.
I'm going to have to listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a classic. It's fantastic. It's a man who's just like, he has been touched by the thing that we all are fascinated by, which is love. And he can't explain the feelings, but, you know, he knows he has it. So listen to that song, and also the album Permission to Land.
Yes, well, as everyone watching knows, we are indeed, all three of us here, experts on the subject of romance. There's no better place, no better group of men you could come to for romantic advice than us three. We are
also
seasoned veterans in modern warfare of love. So,
yes.
Indeed.
And battling aliens, that's important.
Well, that's a part of love.
Yeah, no, I'll agree. I think Matthew agrees too.
Everyone needs a true bonding experience, you know?
Yeah, just going to apps to the town on the aliens.
And what better experience than battling aliens? It's fantastic.
Alright, for my for my next song, this is another kind of two-hit wonder. This is, I think, one of the most famous, technically a two-hit wonder, one of the most famous, though what's generally considered these days a one-hit wonder of all time. And it is, of course, a-ha with the song Take On Me. Now, Take On Me, we've all heard it. Everyone here I know has heard it. Everyone watching this has almost certainly heard it. Even if they don't remember it while a fan, they hear this song, they'd know it, you know. You know, it's a great song. It's sung with kind of an accent, kind of European accent, but it sounds really nice. And it's just all around a great kind of classic 80s song. It's one of the best of the songs that I would consider to be just sort of directly in the genre of 80s songs. I mean, synth pop, which I guess is the real genre I'm talking about, but kind of pop rock. And then also I like the follow-up hit to it as well, The Sun Always Shines on TV. I think it's a really good song as well. Now, I have heard some other songs by a-ha, like that, some from their next album, as well as that Bond song they did. And they never really stuck on me, though, so, I guess I could kind of see. Now, but why they didn't, go on, continue to be super successful. But, Take On Me, it can, as far as, like, mid-80s, like, really mainstream sort of pop rock, synth pop, it's better than Duran Duran, although I'm not a Duran Duran hater. I want to make that clear. They're all Duran Duran songs I like, but this is even better than anything they ever put out. Of course, Duran Duran's best song was in the 90s, but this is just all around great. The singing is great. The synth is one of the greatest synth lines of the 80s, for Take On Me. I really like the vocals on both Take On Me and The Sun Always Shines on TV. Take On Me has obviously the great music video of a kind of, I guess, rotoscope, we'd say, sort of style. And it obviously leads to kind of it being a classic. And it's obviously been kind of a meme song as of late. Sort of in the same vein as, like, Toto's Africa, except that's not a one-hit wonder. But so yeah, it really has had a life that's extended well beyond the 80s, and it's a bit more, some of the songs that are like 80s synth pop, it's like, yeah, this is good in sort of, if you're listening to a bunch of 80s songs, Take On Me is one you can listen to, kind of in a broader context, a bit more, applicable to different moods and whatever, different sort of what you're trying to listen to. And The Sun Always Shines on TV, it's a great song as well. It's a bit more simple, I guess, but I do like it as well, even if its music video isn't as good. Alright, Ben, what's your next song?
Most I have to say is, it feels like a lot of songs have been kind of, I don't know, sounding like Take On Me recently. Like,
well,
the As It Was or whatever. At least bits of it, like the opening bit of Take On Me.
Honestly, an overrated song.
Yeah. Listen,
I'm a big fan of Harry Styles fan, as he shares my birthday, but As It Was is one of his weaker songs.
Listen to this. My father, he always gets really excited whenever he hears As It Was, because he's like, oh, this is a song. I know who sings this. It's sung by Harry Styles. So he's always really excited whenever he hears it, because he knows who sings it. Like, there's one day we went to Walmart. At the customer service desk, it started playing, and he's really excited. He's like, I know who sings this. I always think it, though, in addition to sounding a bit like Take On Me, I always feel it sounds kind of like a whip-off of, like, The Weeknd style as well.
Also, another thing, speaking of Harry Styles, when he was in One Direction, they had a song, Best Song Ever, which almost, it sounds like it takes from Bubba O'Reilly by The Who.
I don't think I know that specific song, but I'm not too surprised. Hey, whatever it is, it's gotta be better than the Limp Bizkit cover of Behind Blue Eyes, right?
That's
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe we shall move on now.
Yeah, Ben, what's your next song?
Blinding... Nah, just kidding. Obviously, Blinding Lights is not a one-hit wonder, but that is a song that I think sounds like As It Was. I don't know, actually, I like Blinding Lights better, but I think As It Was is a more substantive song in some ways. Okay, let's not get sidetracked.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Blinding Lights is talking about... Never mind, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, that's not really a topic for today. I at least have gotten more of the meaning of As It Was. Even if I like Blinding Lights better, because it's better put on. But we will get into that later. Up next, I have the psychedelic metal, not metal, proto-metal, arguably one of the first metal songs, going back to the Led Zeppelin topic. Woo! Woo! No, we do not need to do that.
Go watch episode 1 of our podcast where we discuss Led Zeppelin's best album one. It's a shameless plug.
Anyway, to go back to a psychedelic metal, but kind of... Why do I keep on calling it psychedelic metal? Because that's what it is.
Oh,
Let's
like
be
you're
honest.
saying metal, like the
metal.
Pink Floyd album.
Metal.
Yeah, I know. People say I have poor
psychedelic. It's technically not metal. I don't think so. Yeah, it is.
It's from the best-selling album of 1969, right?
Yes, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, or In the Garden of Eden.
Byron Butterfly.
By Ron Butterfly, the opponent hymn maker. I apologize for that. Simpsons reference. Anyway, I mean, I think we kind of know all about it, all three of us, but, I mean, to briefly summarize, I mean, it's just a really long, acid rock, psychedelic rock, maybe very early heavy metal song. It's just, like...
Yeah, you gotta remember, Ben,
song.
You gotta remember, Ben,
drumming.
Ben, you gotta remember the single edit of that song's only, like, 3 minutes long. You're talking about the album version.
Well, yeah, I am talking about the album version, because that's the more interesting version, even if it's...
that album, it's weird. You know, the first side of it is kind of relatively pop-rocky stuff. It's like, it's not exactly, like, super soft, but it's more of the sort of, I guess, around the kind of what the Who were doing, and, like, the Who Sell Out, or whatever, in terms of hardness. It's, like, less hard than, like, Cream was, or Led Zeppelin, obviously. But, you know, it's got kind of some really kind of saccharine sort of, but also pretty light, even musically and sung and whatever sounding stuff there. And then, you know, you get to side 2 and you have this whole sort of balls to the walls sort of hard, psychedelic, whatever thingamajig going on.
Yeah. I mean, what was he gonna say about it? In some ways, I like the song. In other ways, I do think it's maybe overly excessively long. This is one of a few songs I could be listening to it and doing something else. And then while I'm still listening to it, I will forget I'm listening to it. And then when I stop focusing or like unfocus a little bit on whatever I'm doing, like writing an essay or whatever, and get back to... I was like, oh wait, this is still In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. And it's like... in that way, it's kind of excessive and stuff, especially some of the drum solos. Like, it's less good than, like, Moby Dick. But at the same time, I mean, it's an interesting song. The actual core parts of the song, like the single, are quite good. Quite evocative. Not particularly orthodox Christian. I don't know if it's unorthodox Christian, but it's an idea of sexuality in the Garden of Eden, or perhaps any sexuality as being representative of the Garden of Eden. That is interesting to me. I think it's an interesting use of imagery, and I do think the sounds on this, to go back to a point that I made in the first podcast, which I'm somewhat dissatisfied with how I explained it. One of the main things I was talking about in terms of the sound of heavy metal, and Black Sabbath in particular, was the importance of the bass. That it's all... I mean, in Black Sabbath, almost all the songs are in a lot deeper register than in, like, a Led Zeppelin song and stuff.
I would say... one of the best bassists, though.
Yes, Led Zeppelin has excellent bass. Their bass is better than Black Sabbath, to be sure. John Paul Jones is obviously one of the very top tier bassist.
A true king.
Top 5. I mean, I don't know. Maybe even 1. Who knows?
Maybe even 1.
But with the bass on Led Zeppelin, it's not the dominant sound ever. Well, I mean, in some cases it is, but usually it's not the dominant sound. Often, because Robert Plant's voice is pretty high, and then Jimmy Page also on a lot of songs plays high, so then John Paul Jones could be down low. That though ends up being kind of a middle ground, or even a high that Led Zeppelin tends to take.
Well, John Paul Jones's bass is low, Plant's voice is high, the middle ground is, to some degree, the drumming, and of course Jimmy Page's guitar. Although I will disagree with you that saying the bass isn't the main instrument on some songs. Some of the songs on Presence it is. I'd say the bass is the main instrument, the main sound on Heartbreaker from Led Zeppelin 2 as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. But, I wouldn't say it in the same way as, listening to, the first Black Sabbath album. The dominant sound is bass. Ozzy Osbourne's voice is in a very low register on it. And the bass is the dominant sound. The drumming matches with the sound of that bass. It's just, in some ways, it is psychedelic rock, and blues rock dropped down into, full territory. Well, in the Golden Avino and In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida is somewhat kind of in the middle ground of those two, but it is dropped, it feels like. It is a deeper, maybe even dirtier sound than is in a lot of Led Zeppelin songs. Not all of them. There are exceptions. Led Zeppelin tends to vary a lot. It's dropped into a kind of a more bass heavy, and the drums tend to be kind of echoing in it in ways that are more akin, I would say, to Black Sabbath than they are to Led Zeppelin. Though I would say the most obvious comparison for this group is not to either of those bands, but to Deep Purple or Steppenwolf and stuff. And Led Zeppelin also, I do think, tends to sound a little bit higher than Steppenwolf and stuff, but I wouldn't say Steppenwolf is middle at all. But I would say this is still deeper or closer to Black Sabbath than Steppenwolf is, if you know what I mean. So I would say that this song is important, even if it sometimes...
It's an important song, and
but that is kind of a...
the album In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida was able to pull on the back of this...
Designed to be trapped on
and
stuff, that it makes sense to have it, which I don't do that, so... But I think it makes sense that people can zone out on it.
Ben.
I think there may be both a strength and a weakness of it.
Ben, as I was pointing out, and In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, the album, was able to become the best-selling album in 1969, despite never being the best-selling album any week, on the back of the success of this single, at least in the United States.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, that's true. That's weird. It's deeply weird, because the song, at least this song, despite being a hit single in its cut-down version, in the album version, is not particularly an accessible song. It's
Oh no.
Pretty extreme psychedelic rock. It's not light and fluffy in any way. It's pretty hardcore. That's one of the most hardcore, I guess, or most metal songs of the 70s. I mean, not the 70s, the 60s. And I think this song is important and deserves to be on that list, even if it's a very situational thing. It's not like something I would want to listen to while driving in the car. I think it has strengths and stuff, and interesting themes in its lyrics, and interesting performance and stuff that I think owns it. It's on this list.
Alright, now, Matthew, I want you to get some more words in, because, as usual, Ben is somewhat hogging the speaking time. So what's your next one?
All right, my next one is another classic from my childhood, and that is "Return of the Mack" by Mark Morrison.
Yes, me and Ben both had this on our list. I removed off of mine when Ben was because I knew it was on his. But yes.
Okay, so it's like the ultimate. When you go into like a function and like you come in with your best drip, as the kids say, and everyone's eyes are on you. They're like oh my gosh or that, and it's just a great party song. It's a great driving song. It's a great song to play when you're getting ready for your day. So Return to the Mack is just Return to the Mack, and it's amazing. Go listen to it.
I'll have you all know I supported Mark Morrison's bid for being mayor of London or whatever it was he was running for.
Indeed. Fun fact, he did run for mayor of London.
I supported his bid. I would have loved to have him be mayor of literally anything.
Leicester.
Oh, okay, Leicester, not London. Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
He's honestly the best. He would have been better run a British city or country than most of the people running parliament or whatever in England land.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's some good British people, but politicians. But yeah, I mean, this is not the British
There's
politics.
some good British people.
But yeah, I will talk about
like
Our favorite band is British, so we.
Sounds like an awfully bigoted statement, Ben, against British people.
Sure. Anyway, what was I gonna say?
Listen, our favorite bands are some of our favorite brands are British. We Ben Botcher himself is a very British man. You know.
Virgin.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I gonna say? I was gonna talk about Return of the Mack briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this point's been made by music critics before about how like you've treated him badly, and yet still he's going to he's still like winning. He's like, I'm winning anyway, and in many ways he is
a true king.
I mean, especially somebody who was. I mean, it talks about, you know, doubting his career and being like, you're not going anywhere or whatever to him. And he's like, yes, I am. And it's like a hit. And like, it's a big, well-regarded hit. I mean, it's unfortunate he was one hit wonder, but ever since, he still does have this one big hit. I mean, he people were doubting him and he returned. He had the return of the Mack. I also do think it's also interesting that a British R&B song did so well here, because Britain, not a place known for R&B. Especially not in that time.
Alright, well, speaking of Britain and R&B, I guess that brings me to my next song, actually, quite well. Of course, no list of great one-hit wonders. Well, in this case, I guess kind of one-hit wonder for those two songs I like of this band. No list would be complete without the foundation. And of course, the classic song, Build Me Up Buttercup. Why do you build me up? You know. So, yeah, I also like the song by this band, In Those Bad Battle Days, Before You Love Me. That's a pretty good song as well, but it's not as good as Build Me Up Buttercup. It's just, overall, it's kind of a poppy sort of song, I guess, between Motown and the Monkees, sort of, nice kind of happy sounding song, even though I guess the lyrics aren't super happy. It's a great song from the late 60s and a true classic of the late 60s. Alright, Ben, you wanna go again?
Yeah, might as well. I'm not going to be discussing heavy metal this time. Instead, we're going to be discussing Christianity and theology with Spirit in the Sky, which is actually the first song on my playlist. But I've known it for a lot longer than that. I mean, I find the theology in it somewhat questionable, which is not surprising because it's made by a Jewish guy. About cowboy movies and them like believing in Jesus and dying with their boots on, despite that not really being giving of the song. I mean, yeah, I mean the theology's off in this, but like it's a good song and I think it's a good song and even has a good maybe religious use to it. Not because it's not a real Jesus is. In some ways, it kinda is overly simplistic about religion. It's just like I have a friend in Jesus, but I don't know. It just rocks hard. I mean, if I think about it too much, it's probably not gonna seem as good. So I'm gonna stop now. Matthew, do you have something to say?
Yeah, it's a good song. it was famously only in the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. It was not in the actual movie.
Which was cringe and misleading.
Which is kind of weird.
They should have been sued over it.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite MCU movie, but the fact that it was only featured in the trailer and not in the actual movie is very strange to me.
Oh, yeah. Alright, well, I guess it's your turn now, Matthew.
Alright, again, I'm just gonna go another classic from the 2000s for me. It's Whenever You Will Go by The Calling. It's just another one of these songs that it is emotionally powerful, and also it's just a very imitatable singing voice, just like, so lately been wandering. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So Whenever You Will Go by The Calling.
Wow, Matthew, I never knew you were auditioning to be the new single for Pearl Jam. I guess that joke kind of fell flat.
Hey, I know what Pearl Jam is.
I need to, I guess, listen to some of these songs that you've been listing off, Matthew, that I'm not
Eddie
familiar with.
Vedder. I am Eddie Vedder.
So that hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here to wait.
It's honestly, and I'm only gonna keep this tangent for a minute. It's kind of odd that a lot of '90s musicians ended up imitating Eddie Vedder and not Kurt Cobain's voice as much. Like, I mean, I have some songs that'll kind of imitate Kurt Cobain's voice. And there's lots of people imitating Kurt Cobain in like 10 billion other ways, but it's kind of odd that a lot of them got hooked on Eddie Vedder's unusual voice and tried to imitate it.
Yeah. Alright, back to One Hit Wonders. Some other stuff I want to mention. I'm going to mention a few, I guess, here on a row, just because I have a lot I want to list off. I like, Simple Minds and those songs Don't You Forget About Me and Alive and Kicking. Those are both true 80s classics. Don't You Forget About Me, of course, obviously has this kind of very distinct sound to it. It's very 80s, but it's also very distinct in and of itself, and I really like that. I also want to mention the band Pilot, who sang the song It's Magic, and in that song I was like, whoa, 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 it's magic. You know, that's a great song. It's a very great sort of, I guess, early 70s kind of pop.
It's magic, you know.
Never believe it's not so. So I really like this song. It's Magic by Pilot. It's a great song. They also have another song that I don't really think was really much of a hit called January, which is pretty good as well. And, of course, the guy who sings it, I think his name is David Padden, was, of course, later the bassist for the Alan Parsons Project. So, he was doing some really good work. So, yeah, it's a great song. January, I also really like, is a great song. It's one of, I guess, more obscure songs I listen to somewhat regularly. The 1970s were kind of just a gold mine, Keep digging, you keep finding nuggets of, ingots even, real ingots. And, Great stuff, and It's Magic, that's a great one-hit wonder. January, that's another really good sort of secondary song by the band. And I also like the band Marmalade, and their song, but technically Marmalade's a two-hit wonder, because they did in America, the Beatles refused to release, well, they didn't release, although I think Paul wanted it, Obla Di Obla Da as a single. And so they, this band covered it and they released Fails as a single, and it became a hit because it was demand for the Beatles version. Marmalade is the band we're talking about now. But they also sang a really good kind of, I guess, like, somewhat kind of folk-walky kind of nice song, Reflections of My Life, in 1969, 1970, somewhere there. It was a really good song by this band. And also, of course, Marmalade, to me, is most notable for having Junior Campbell in it. one of the guys who would later go on to do the music for Thomas the Tank Engine, so that's great as well. Yeah, he blessed us. The songwriters on Thomas the Tank Engine, it's not just him, but those other guys as well, but they blessed us with these great songs. That show has an amazing soundtrack, actually. The first seasons, at least, that he was on. First 6 seasons. So, Ben, you want to list off another song?
Yeah, might as well.
That's not super enthusiastic.
The hustle. Do the hustle. Do the hustle. That's great, actually, what, like, hundreds and hundreds of songs, but this is the only one that's a hit.
Van McCoy.
It's one of most disco songs. It's not like an amazing song or anything. I just wanted to do the hustle.
Matthew, join in.
Do the hustle.
Do the hustle.
Do the hustle.
Do the hustle. Okay, do the hustle. On the count of 3, we're going to do it all together. 1, 2, 3. Do the hustle.
Do the hustle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that song.
Very serious podcast.
It's a very serious podcast. Our full story war, scanning the Thomas the Tank Engine theme. I was singing to the hustle. Alright, Ben, do you have any other one you want to cover next, since we didn't really spend much time there with the hustle? Or should we move on?
Sure. So, let's get this, this song is also not, like, an amazing piece of music or anything. But, like, it is good, and it's, like, a classic song. So, we're gonna do it. Play that funky music, why? Play that funky music, why? Play that funky music, white boy. Lay down the boogie and play that funky music till you die. Till you die. Anyway, that song has haters. I am not one of them. It is a fine and funky song, but
it's a good radio song.
Yeah, it's a radio funk song. It's not like one of like the high achievements of funk or anything, but it's fun.
The 1970s, as I said earlier, a gold mine. Matthew, tell us what you want to list off next.
Well, I want to list off the next song that I wanted to pay reference to is a classic, and like that is Rock Me Amadeus.
Amadeus, 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 Amadeus.
They don't make songs like this anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's literally a song in reference to the Oscar award-winning movie, which I would recommend, Amadeus. And it's just amazing. It's just German with English.
It's my favorite foreign language song, honestly.
I wouldn't begrudge you for saying that. It's a great song you play at the bar, and you're just with your group of friends, and you're just like Amadeus, 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 Amadeus.
Amadeus.
Yeah, I mean, I actually a few days ago while driving heard a new version of it. I hadn't heard it was still Falco. It was just a different mix. That was like longer. But anyway,
it was probably from the 12-inch single or something.
Yeah, it was like 10 billion different mixes of that song.
Oh yeah, it was anyway, the 80s.
I know Falco has other songs. I mean that you probably
I want to say just here, this is very important. This is one of the strongest opinions I have. The Falco version of .com store is better than the After Fire version. I know the After Fire version is in English, and as such, I can actually understand the lyrics. The way Falco goes, does a,
turn around.
It's this. The way Falco does it in his version. Yeah, the way Falco does that part is just he sings it. He does it a whole lot cooler. Like the guy who sings it after the Fire version, it's a little too whiny. The way he goes, whereas the way Falco does it is a lot cooler. It's a lot smoother. It kind of flows a bit better. So I think that the Falco version has a better, I guess, vocal on it than the After the Fire version. And I will stand by this till the day I die. The Falco version of .com store is the best version.
He also had a song called Vienna Calling, named after the Clash song London Calling, which is weird, because, like, London Calling is a reference to, like, London calling the French resistance or whatever, in World War II. Who was Vienna calling? I don't know. Maybe under German occupation. It's just a song about how much she loves Vienna. The man loved Vienna.
How do you know it's named after London Calling and not California Calling?
I'm pretty sure it's named after London Calling.
Yeah, I know. I know it is. I'm just joking.
It doesn't really sound like London Calling.
Falco never did sound like the Clash.
Yeah, that's a part of the new Deutsche Welle. What it was called. It's a new wave song.
So, I guess some of the songs I want to, reference now, or I do want to give a shout out to a couple different things once again, since I do have a pretty long list to get through here. I want to shout out my man Al Stewart. I have a couple of his albums, The Year of the Cat and Time Passages, both of which title tracks were hit singles, but I think those were the only really hit singles by him. And but he has other good songs too, including Roads to Moscow, which is about the Battle of Stalingrad, if I remember right, so kind of fitting with a World War II theme that Ben was just talking about. The guy put out some really good stuff, kind of a folk rock, but kind of a more kind of contemporary, like 70s brand of folk rock. Although I probably need to dive even further back in his discography, as it does go back into the 1960s. But yeah, no, he put out some really great albums with Year of the Cat and Time Passages both. I'm hoping to review those on my channel here at some point. I also want to mention War by Edwin Starr. That's a great song. There's also a Bruce Springsteen version of it. It's an anti-Vietnam song, and I really love the way Edwin Starr really, like, it sounds kind of absurd if you listen to it. He really hams it up. If you stop and think about it, war is kind of an absurd thing too, and he does kind of point out how people, I guess, have maybe become too desensitized to it. Like he responds like it's this really outrageous thing, which to even someone like my age and whatever seems kind of like maybe a little over the top and hammy, but that's kind of the point, is that it actually is this really kind of unnatural, outrageous thing, and his sort of hammy delivery, like, good God, y'all, and you know, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing! You know, kind of, I think, serves to drive the point home that war really isn't natural, and that, it's an anti-Vietnam song. You had a lot of those, but this one is one of the best, honestly. It's a very hammy song, but it does kind of point out, I guess, the ridiculousness inherent in, two nations sending their men to fight and kill each other. Another song I want to mention was, of course, the early 70s classic. Technically, the guy who sang the song was a singer of, if I remember right, 5 different one-hit wonders, but all with different bands because, I don't know. The evergreen Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes, a true kind of classic, kind of in the same way as It's Magic or whatever. It's a less good song when It's Magic, but kind of a nice little kind of pop rock, kind of Monkees-esque, or, like the Partridge Family-esque, sort of little kind of Carpenters-esque, sort of a little bit of fluff, and early 70s kind of teen tween fluff. I mean, that's great. You can't beat it in some ways, in terms of what it is. Ben, you want to list any other songs down?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be now moving with mine into the 80s, which I'm very substantive one-hit wonders I'm going to be covering. Also some not very substantive one-hit wonders I'm going to be covering.
The 80s
and first, we're going to be covering...
The 80s really were one-hit wonderland to some degree.
Yes.
The cassette single format was, I guess, good for that.
Yeah, I mean...
And
also, just like some random new wave songs.
Radio taping, I think, also, taping songs off radio onto cassette, I think, kind of helped that sort of thing happen. People making their own mixes and whatever on cassette.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to start with... This is actually technically a 70s song, but it's very heavily associated with the 80s. It is Video Killed the Radio Star, the song of MTV.
Absolutely.
But I also want to discuss Elsh Tree, which is a different song by the Buggles. That's also good.
Hey, Ben, there's actually a field song by the Buggles I like, which is The Plastic Age, which is the top track from the album.
Yes, that's true. Anyway, what was I going to say? I mean, obviously, Video Killed the Radio Star has been covered to death in some ways.
And everyone who's played Grand Theft Auto knows it as well, obviously.
All I want to say is there's a Luxembourg reference in it. Anyway, beyond that...
Ooh, Luxembourg. Nice. Tasty.
Luxembourg. I'm sure the people of Luxembourg appreciate that.
I hope they do. It was a compliment.
Radio Luxembourg, yeah. The song Elsh Tree by the Buggles is what I'm going to talk about more because everybody knows Video Killed the Radio Star. I don't think that when it used to be discussed in much detail. Other than it's the song at MTV, but like Elsh Tree is a different song. It's not particularly well known, and it's not really a hit or anything. But I think it's a good song about a guy who used to be in movies like in the 40s and 50s, and then got shifted over to work at the BBC as like a janitor or something. I feel sorry for this character. Stuff. Well, the BBC did actually produce a lot of excellent television programs during that time period, so yeah, I'm not gonna bash the BBC either, but I mean, it's just kind of I get that there was a sense of like lost grandeur in cinema, and this applies to the United States too, with the exclusion of like a couple directors after the war, and like especially in the 50s, there was a perception of decline in the film industry, despite there being many great films that came out in the 50s. And stuff, so it's kind of hard to feel that now. But at the time, there was a perception of, like, film's quality is declining. Until, I mean, some people would say even until, like, Easy Rider or whatever in the 60s. Which I know is a weird thought, because there were films that were kind of disliked by like a lot of artsy people, like Hello Dolly and stuff that like now aren't. They're just not hated or anything. They're classics. But like they also, I mean, there was the decline of like the Road Show and whatnot, and like a lot of studios and stuff were kind of like bankrupt and stuff during that time.
Yeah. Well, we're not
it was
here
too
to Ben. We're not here.
But
we're not here to discuss the history of film. We're here to discuss the history of music, the history of one-hit wonders.
Yes, but Elsh Tree in some ways reflects that period because it's not like one of his big extravagant films that this guy clearly was in. He was in B-movies, but like there was the decline of the B-movie as a format, even though there were plenty of 60s and stuff as B-movies. And as like an important-ish thing, as these studios declined and stuff, yeah, you might end up working as a janitor for the BBC. But yeah, I think Elsh Tree is a good song. People should listen to it.
Alright, that is all for part 1 of our Rock Roundtable episode on one-hit wonders. However, we will have a part 2 coming out next Wednesday as well, in which we discuss more one-hit wonders. And in the meantime, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and also maybe go watch the other episodes of Rock Roundtable if you haven't done so already. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.